Bonjour YouTube, welcome back to our channel. Today we're taking you back to Versailles, but this time to the halls of empire. On y va. We have no idea how the place will look. Sinan, how do you feel?
Fine, it's just another day, another day in Versailles.
Another day, another Versailles, no?
Yes.
Another Versailles day. It's a bit cold today, but ça va. It's fine.
People stay inside, so it's fine.
You see guys, if you comment or like the videos or dislike them, that will greatly help our channel. Today we're visiting the part of the Château de Versailles that should be looked at as a continuation of the other two visits we had done, of Chimay Attic and Crusade Halls.
We find ourselves on the ground floor of L'Aile du Midi, which prior to the revolution housed a lot of apartments of the royal family and the court of Versailles.
236 years later, and this wing of the palace is home to Les Galeries Historiques that largely focus on Napoleon I, especially on the ground floor of this wing.
A project conceived and achieved by the last king of the French, Louis-Philippe I, the historic galleries are part of the museum that the king had planted into the Palace of Versailles, a museum dedicated to all the glories of France.
But in order to understand why someone from the Orléans family would place so much focus on Napoleon, we must rewind back to the early 19th century.
Shortly after his accession to the throne, Napoleon laid his eyes on Versailles and charged his architects to plan out restorations of the main chateau as well as Le Grand Trianon et Petit Trianon.
By the way, we've done several visits to those smaller palaces and highly recommend you to check them out, especially if you're planning to visit them soon.
In 1804, the various occupants of the domain were expelled as the crown took the management of the property until 1814.
That year marked the end of the First Empire and the beginning of the period of restoration with the accession of Louis XVIII to the throne.
You have to understand, at the time Versailles was still associated with the Ancien regime, and moving back into the palace would send a strong message to the public.
So Louis XVIII decided to keep Versailles untouched and unused.
The palace would have to wait until 1830 before it was once again on the radar of the head of state.
With the revolution that same year, Louis-Philippe d'Orléans came to power following the overthrow of Charles X. Aware of the political divisions that have agitated France since 1789, the citizen king wished to federate the French around common cause and history.
This is one of the main reasons why he chose to transform the Palace of Versailles into a museum dedicated to all the glories of France.
While the Crusades halls focused on the Holy Crusades and Attic Chimay focused on the revolutionary period until the Consulate, the halls of the empire conserve almost all of the paintings which decorated the imperial residences and were commissioned by Napoleon to exalt his own glory.
Don't forget that paintings and portraits were a big part of government political communication at the time.
Louis-Philippe was keen to rally to his regime the elders of the empire and the Bonapartist opinion. To do this, he performed several gestures towards the memory of the emperor, including these grand galleries and, in 1840, the repatriation of the remains of Napoleon Bonaparte from the island of Sainte-Hélène to Paris, an event referred to as the Return of the Ashes.
You can visit the tomb of the emperor with us in our video from Les Invalides. It is a place like no other. Link in the first comment below.
But back to Versailles. The 13 halls of the empire recount the story year after year, campaign after campaign, the incredible and unbelievable life of this artillery officer who was born in Corsica and went to the Royal Military School of Brienne, created under Louis XVI, and later became one of the greatest masters of Europe.
The rooms are filled with the works of some of the best artists of the time, Gros, Girodet, Regnault, to name a few, representing some of the finest examples of neoclassical movement in art.
Many of these paintings have been reproduced in abundance in historic works since the early 19th century and are part of the common heritage.
They are further accompanied by decorative compositions made under the direction of the painter Jean Allo, who was a member of the Academy of Fine Arts and the director of the French Academy in Rome.
Beautiful furniture and art objects presented here once graced the imperial residences that no longer exist, including Le Palais de Tuileries and Le Château de Saint-Cloud.
This combined decor accentuates for the visitor the impression of being in that imperial period.
Louis-Philippe inaugurated the museum in June of 1837, making his continued effort to reconcile the supporters of different political regimes that came to power since 1789, and at the same time strengthen his own legitimacy as king by highlighting the national history.
After the fall of his rule in 1848 and the Second Republic that followed, it was Napoleon III who completed the developments of the museum.
And while majority of people associate this palace with Louis XIV, if you look deeper, you will see that Versailles offers two faces that are drastically different from each other, yet are totally complementary. The royal residence founded by the Sun King, and the Museum of History and All Glories of France of the 19th century, founded by Louis-Philippe I.
And that's it for today. If you would like to see more of these videos, please don't forget to like, share and comment below. Until the next one, au revoir.